Howdy folks, Hamilton Belk here. I've been getting a lot of questions from people who are interested in getting into pedal steel, so I wanted to make this video to cover some of the ideas that you'll want to consider before you might decide to take the plunge. It's a complex and expensive instrument, and it's not as easy as just hopping on Craigslist or going to your local music store or even a chain and finding something. So people generally ask a combination of what's the best way to learn pedal steel or what's the cheapest way to get one. If you're one of these people, there's basically two approaches you can take. By far the cheapest way to get into steel guitar is to buy a lap steel. You can often find them used for $50 to $100, or you can actually get a really nice quality instrument for less than $200. They're really simple. They require relatively little care and maintenance. I got this Recording King, it was about $170. It's got great tone. I've used it on countless recordings, a bunch of tours, and it can also really take a beating. I haul it around in a soft gig bag. I don't even have a hard case for it, and you can see like I've dropped this thing many times. So it's not precious, but it sounds great. The benefit of this approach is it's really inexpensive, and you'll develop a lot of right hand technique, picking and blocking, also some left hand technique with the bar, although it is a little different. It's a great way to get your feet wet before deciding to take the plunge and committing to purchasing a pedal steel. If you decide to go that route and you're interested in playing country music, I would recommend setting yours up with a C6 tuning, which is C, E, G, A, C, E. You can get that Hawaiian sound with that 6 chord. Okay, so the second approach is to just take the dive. If you're ready to track down a pedal steel, you've got to decide if you want to start out on a student model or if you want to go ahead and buy something that'll last you a little longer, possibly even a lifetime instrument. Pedal steels are generally built by boutique manufacturers to order, so you're going to need to decide if you want to buy a used guitar or a new one. You'll also need to consider the kind of tuning and setup that you want to match the styles you're interested in playing. Alright, so there's a bunch of discontinued student models floating around out there that you can find. Some of them have a very simple setup with even just one floor pedal, sometimes 1 to 3 floor pedals, and 1 to 4 knee levers. Now, this is my lifetime guitar right here. It's an Emmons push-pull. It's got 3 floor pedals, 4 knee levers, and that is kind of the standard issue these days for in E9 tuning, and it's pretty ubiquitous in instructional material. You're going to be coming across instructions that are for that setup, so I would strongly discourage anyone from buying a pedal steel that has anything less than 3 floor pedals and 4 knee levers, because if you stick with it, it's only a matter of time before you want to get something that has 3 pedals and 4 levers. Okay, so some of the more common student models that you'll see out there, used ones, are the Showbud Maverick, the MSA Red Baron or Sidekick, and the Carter Starter. So some of these come with less than 3 pedals and 4 levers, and I would not recommend those. When I got started, I had a Carter Starter. It was, fully set up for E9, 3 pedals, 4 levers. It was a great guitar for me for a year. So if you come across a Carter Starter, I think that could be a good option. When I was getting started in 2014, you could find a used student model for around $500 to $700, and that is still somewhat the case, although I've been seeing Carter Starters go for up to $1K, and in my opinion, if you're gonna spend that much, you might as well fork out a couple $100 more and get a brand new student model. They'll be newer, they'll be sturdier, I think they've come a long way, and the 2 companies that are making solid student models new these days are GFI. They make one called the Student Model, are Zoom, which makes Stage 1, although I think Stage 1 is kind of like slightly separate but under the umbrella of Zoom. Those go for around $1,200 new, fully set up, and then the GFI Student Model, I think is what it's called, and those are closer to $1,600 or $1,700. You can get those straight from the dealer, and that will be a solid beginner instrument. If you feel a little more passionate about the endeavor, you want a guitar that's going to last you a long time, you're ready to invest the money, I think one great option could be the Mullen Discovery. I've played them, they sound great. An added bonus is they come in at 47 pounds in the case that comes with it, so you can fly with it easily if you're traveling to play gigs. Those go for $22.50 around, I think, new. And then there's tons of pro models that you can find used from reputable manufacturers like Emmons, Showbud, Fessenden, Mullenzoom, Deckley, Williams. There's going to be a lot of great options for you out there if you're starting to dive into the used pro pedal steel market. You can probably, with some effort, find one that's going to be between $1.5 and $3,000. Okay, so where to buy? If you're going the used route, I would do a quick search on Craigslist just to see what's out there. You know, you can go on Facebook, check the Facebook Marketplace. More importantly, look to see if there are any local Facebook groups for pedal steel guitar in your area. There might be some local players that are either getting rid of a guitar or people who could steer you in the right direction. By far the best place to look online is the Steel Guitar Forum. There's people buying and selling pedal steels in the classified sections on there every day, and it's also an awesome community with tons of resources. You might already be on there if you're really interested in steel guitar. There's also a lot of dedicated pedal steel stores / distributors around the country, and if you're in the US, you might live close enough to one that could be an easy day trip. This would be a great option because it gives you the opportunity to sit down at a bunch of guitars with a knowledgeable person who can help you kind of go over what you're looking at and figure out what is the best thing to suit your needs. And this would also likely be a safe bet for getting a pedal steel that's been set up properly, that's well maintained, that's like ready to go out the gate by someone who knows what they're doing. Oh yeah, that's another thing. These instruments are finicky. They can easily sound pitchy and out of tune if they aren't set up right. There's a lot of nuances in the mechanics. It's possible that if you get a used guitar from someone on Craigslist or someone online, you might need to have it shipped to a technician to get it properly set up before it's ready to be played. If you decide you want to get a new guitar, you can go directly to the manufacturer and have them build you a guitar that's set up with the exact specifications and options that you want. And that can be a good option too if you're like ready to fork over the cash and you want to get something that's going to last you forever. Other things you're going to need to get into pedal steel or lap steel, you're going to need a steel bar. Most pedal steel players play with one that's a bullet shape like this. Although you'll see some guys, especially the folks who are playing gospel or sacred steel, they might be playing with one of these that's got a more ergonomic setup. You can kind of wrap your fingers around. It's a little faster. You can more easily do hammer-ons and pull-offs and that sort of thing. Also, if you're playing dobro or lap steel, you're probably going to want to get a bar that's shaped like one of these. You're going to need finger picks. Most guys play with a plastic thumb pick and 3 finger picks. I think you get the best tone that way. You're going to need a stool and an amplifier. Now, you could use any guitar amplifier, but eventually you're going to want to get something that sounds really great, that's got a nice clean tone with a lot of headroom. I play with a PV Session 400 most of the time. A lot of guys like twin reverbs. There's a lot of amps that are known for being great for steel guitar, and that's something to consider as well. All right, so hopefully that answers some of your questions about getting into pedal steel. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments below. I've got more videos planned from lessons and tips for steel guitar, banjo, bass, dobro, even some engineering and mixing, so make sure to like and subscribe if you're interested in licks and tricks.